So now these players are ready to load their hands in, basically. Then our volunteers are going to add them to the app, and then we can go.
It doesn't look like they've got drawn any cards yet, actually.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll get started in a moment.
Okay, I think our judges are waiting for a signal to start the match again.
We should make up a signal.
I just gave them the official signal, but I think they're not loud enough in the earpieces.
Go, go, go.
Okay, I think they got the message now. Okay.
Yep. Okay, I think they stopped the timer as well, just to be fair to the players and give them the full 40 minutes for the round. So I don't know who's going first here. Can we make out that? I can make out almost all the cards in the dinosaur hand. That isn't evenly matched, so I would guess that means he's chosen to go second.
Yeah. If he sided accordingly, then
it would be odd to see someone side deck evenly matched going first, especially when you choose. I think players are kind of tricky now about whether they decide to go first or second, because you side in different cards, and you might like to choose to go second after siding. Or
this is a pretty good hand for going second with.
It does. I don't know. I don't know what more you could want.
This is a handful, in the most literal sense.
I mean, maybe you want more sort of combo pieces. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what Bohdan's got. That nasty Inspector border. I don't know how Dinosaur deal with that. I mean, maybe they need, if they draw the evolution pill. I mean, I'm guessing straight up we're just going to see the evenly matched here, but I don't know what Bohdan's face down cards are. Whether there's an answer to the evenly
we're going to
matched.
see that. There's a person spoofing a Solemn Strike and the Altergeist Protocol.
Okay. I don't know what he'll keep from the evenly matched then. And the card in hand is...
There is the evenly matched.
Is a Marionetta.
Marionetta, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Okay,
so what's he going to keep here?
Okay. So he's chaining the protocol so he can shuffle it back in for the spoofing before the evenly matched resolves.
Yep. Oh, we just learned that we have been talking forever in
To
round
ourselves.
one. To ourselves, and you guys didn't hear anything.
Sorry about that.
We're so very sorry. We could redo our whole intro because it was a really good intro.
It was great. Ollie was amazing.
I would say it was the best intro we've ever done, to be honest.
I'm sad you missed it.
Yeah. So you guys have been
There was
missing
a
out.
song. Ollie was dancing.
Yes.
He was juggling knives.
There were a couple of things. Yeah, we had a knife joke about 1,000 knives.
Oh yeah, there was actually.
What do you mean actually? All of the things we just mentioned actually happened.
Yeah. So I think...
well, with that, guys, welcome.
Ulysse tried to use Ghost Ogre, but he could not use the Ghost Ogre on the spoofing whilst the Inspector border is on the field, because Inspector border is kind of like a mini Majesty's Fiend, but with a lot more text.
Of course. it's one of those modern cards. All of the new cards.
They want to make sure that the card... I can get behind wanting to make sure that you can just read the card and know exactly how it works. There are sometimes you read cards. So you read, like, Firewall Dragon, for example. Firewall Dragon's effect says, once while this card is on the field, you can add cards back. So the question is, someone uses Ghost Bell to negate the effect of Firewall's adding. And it's like, once while it's on the field. That's not one of the keywords... You know, it doesn't say you can only use this effect once while it's on the field. If the activation is negated, that means you can't use it again, or if you can only activate it once, which means you can activate it again.
My question for you would be then, what's wrong with a card like Dark Hole? It's sweet and simple.
Dark Hole is, Dark Hole is fairly obvious what it does.
It's pretty hard to
But it doesn't say on the text whether you need to have some knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh! As to whether you can activate Dark Hole if the only monster on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects.
Wow.
But I think putting that on the text of Dark Hole would be overkill.
That would be overkill, yeah. I agree. All right, so if you just tuned in or if you just fixed your audio levels...
Bohdan is 1-0 up, so I don't know why it says on the screen that it is 0-0, because he is 1-0 up.
We actually have to
first
update
match
the screen as well.
did count even though there was no audio.
Yeah, that would be a fun new rule to invent. If we don't have audio for a match, it doesn't count.
So we can see that Ulysse searched the Giant Rex with Fossil Dig, which is a bit of an odd target normally, but he searched it because it's got 2,000 attack points, so it can stand up to the Inspector border.
Mm-hmm.
But Bohdan just made the very sensible move of switching it into defense mode, even though there are no cards on the field, because it has 2,000 defense points as well, which means that he can no longer crash the Giant Rex into it.
And both of them are smiling now. Both of them
This
know
is
that
going to be a very strange position. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what this second fossil dig's going to pick up. Let's have a look.
it's a bit of an absurd situation that we don't see very often in the feature match.
Well, we saw it in there was a very similar situation in the final of the World Championships. This Inspector Border just makes this game a very funny game where, because normally the person who summoned Inspector Border can't actually do much either.
Yeah.
They're just relying on the fact they have a monster with 2,000 attack points. Which is it's pretty good against Altergeist as well.
Which is weird. A card that works both for and against you.
Well, it's a bit like, cards like Vanity's Emptiness is like, it's good
Yeah.
if you have it, and it's bad if they have it.
It's not just that if you have it, if you can pop it when you want to. I think that's the most important part.
Well, you
about
can't get rid of it, but the thing
Yeah.
is if it's a trap card and you can't pop it, then it's going to affect you. But if it's a monster, people can't kill you while you have a monster. Most of the time, they
That
can't
is
kill
true.
you while you have a monster. So it's generally better to have the floodgates as a monster.
It's better to have that than, let's say, an Imperial Order.
Yeah,
where you're just like
so
paying yourself to death.
Bohdan's forced to crash here because he knows next turn Ulysse can just normal summon another monster and overlay. So instead he's going to crash and start using his own monster effects, and it looks like he's got some decent setup here because he's going to use the Marionetta to search a protocol, and then he's got the Multifaker in hand setup, which is pretty nice. And that stops as well, so you can see the Ash in Ulysse's hand, but protocol stops the Multifaker summon being negated by Ash, which is pretty handy. We could... Oh no, I don't think Inspector Border can be special summoned. So I was going to say Monster Reborn and Inspector Border could just flip the script on Bohdan, but I don't think it can be special summoned, but I might be wrong. It can't be normal summoned while you control another monster.
But again, not like a super explosive turn where we see like a gigantic shift in life points or something
No,
like that.
I mean, Altergeist don't really do explosive turns. Dinosaurs, on the other hand, can do very explosive
Yeah,
turns.
they are quite the opposite in that regard.
So I'm wondering if Bohdan's going to just flip the protocol in the standby phase. It's something you can do. Some people like to do it, but it looks like, I mean, the longer you hold it, you don't have to summon. So it might be that you want to use the negation effect and tribute something other than Marionetta, but it doesn't look like that's going on.
So here's an old card.
So the Monster Reborn, it looks like, is it going to take the...
Inspector
I
Border?
honestly, I know that Inspector Border cannot be normal summoned while you control another monster. I don't know if it can't be special summoned while you control another monster.
Cannot be normal or special summoned if you control a monster.
Okay. But he's taking
He's taking his
the
own
Rex
card.
anyway. Okay.
He's like, bring back the Rex. It was extinct for so very long.
Yeah, I mean, I think there would have been some merit to bringing back Inspector Border there, because people have just sided Border against Altergeist just because they just almost nothing they can do. It's just this 2,000. They can't really get a... So Inspector Border prevents you from activating monster effects until you've got a Link monster out. Or until you've got a monster that is either Link, Synchro, Ritual, or XYZ.
So do you think it would have been better for him to...
I mean, it dictates your strategy. It's saying, I'm just going to try and win with this one Inspector Border now, whereas this he's going to play with his dinosaurs a bit more.
But I did mention earlier, this is a one-trick T-Rex. I have to repeat that joke because you guys didn't hear it.
So now we can see some of the... he's got 2 dinosaurs on the field, and for those of you who have not been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For a very long time, there are some very swanky XYZ monsters you can make with 2 dinosaurs. They used to be at the heart of the rabbit deck. So we might see... they're still pretty powerful, so there's the Solemn Judgment type Evil Tsar Lagia, which negates either a summon or a spell or trap card.
Activation of a spell or trap.
And then there's Dolka, which can negate 2 monster effects.
What was the name of that trap card? Divine
Wrath, I guess?
Yeah, Wrath.
Yeah?
That's the closest.
People used to come up with some great tricks with Dolka. You could take your opponent's Dolka and then like try and negate your own monster effect and then use Dolka to negate its own effect again.
Yeah.
And then it would kill itself.
But that's something that you save for main phase 2 most of the time after you attacked with it.
After you've attacked, it depends if you can, if you use mind control or whatever. So this is enough to prompt Bohdan to use the protocol immediately.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want one of the XYZ monsters come down first, stop him using the protocol, or the... so if he'd made Dolka already, then the Multifaker in hand could have just got negated by the Dolka, or if he'd made Lagia, he could have just negated the activation of protocol.
Right.
So he's going to get it down first.
And he's a bit of like, meh, this is not the greatest situation I'm in, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's totally fine, to be honest. He's got his engine going. He's not got anything else.
Right.
Which is always nice to have.
But
you have
for
some
the
extra
most
traps.
part, you're happy if your deck is doing its thing.
So we should get... I know that Protocol prevents the effects of your Altergeist monsters on the field from being negated. I don't know if it prevents their activations from being negated. Can we get the text up just to double check that
We
one?
can do that. The activation and effects.
The activation and effects. So Dolka now would be not very handy because it would not be able to negate the effect of Silquetus. So Silquetus could just bounce it. So I'll be interested to see what he makes with this.
Yeah, he's just double checking all the effects. This is a really good idea. Just double check that you don't get anything wrong.
Yeah, he's double checking it too, just like us. So I'm not sure what XYZ monster you can make that is not just going to get bounced by Silquetus.
Yeah. He actually
what have we
has,
got in his extra deck that he might
does
make? Is there the nice Exciton Knight? Yes, there is an Exciton Knight there.
Okay. Oh yeah, here we
but
go.
honestly, it's been long enough since I've played Exciton Knight that you have to have... Do they have to have a smaller field than you, or a smaller field and hand?
I think it's the number of cards.
That's terrible. I can't remember what Exciton Knight does.
Yeah.
They have to have less cards than you,
They have
for
to
sure, in some sense.
Very often, Exciton Knight players had a gigantic hand. So
Is it just on the board?
I think it's just the board.
Well, that could be pretty devastating if the Exciton Knight comes down, because then it just nukes the... Well, it forces out the Protocol rather than the Silquetus, I guess.
Wow.
But anything else he makes here is just going to get hit by the Silquetus.
So here's a lot of thinking going on at the moment. We're really missing out on what's happening in terms of what these guys are thinking here.
Bohdan might be thinking about whether he should be using the bounce of Silquetus before any XYZs happen.
Yeah, but even so, he's been taking his time a little bit, or one of these guys.
I'm not
is
sure
saying.
who's thinking. Oh, it is Bohdan who's thinking, and he's decided to use the bounce immediately. I think this might go a little bit pear-shaped for Bohdan, because he's now got the double evolution. Oh, Ulysse passed.
It's interesting.
I was expecting some more plays.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd already passed and Bohdan was playing Bohdan was playing in his own end phase with the Protocol. I was expecting some Tyranno
we're
action.
going over the options in his extra deck
as if they could be played.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
And it's quite a different story here on the field now.
So I mean, he may have wanted to save all of his juice because he'd already gone to main phase 2. So he may have wanted to save up to just try and OTK his opponent with his 2 Conductor Tyrannos and double Evolution Pill. I'm guessing the Ash might be used because I don't know when else it's going to be used. But we will see if he uses the Ash. He's also got the Ogre to deal with Protocol if it's flipped in a chain before the chain it's used. People often get that a bit confused with Ogre.
He's got so many cards in hand. I'm wondering, it's just confusing why he's in such a bad position despite starting his second duel with an evenly matched, having a hand trap, and being in a position where he can generally dictate the pace of the game, at least to a certain degree.
Altergeist is a very powerful deck in the event that its cards get going. I think it's one of the most powerful decks. It's not necessarily the fastest to set up, and it's not necessarily the most consistent. So the Protocol was drawn for turn, I'm guessing, and I'm guessing the other set is therefore the not the Protocol. The Protocol is the other set. Spoofing was drawn for turn because it's the Altergeist trap that he can't have searched.
Yeah. Now it's getting for another Hex here.
And then he's using the Sneaky Ruling with Manifestation, where because it's not a continuous trap, you can shuffle it back in the chain and then it still resolves, which is a bit weird because it kind of is a continuous trap because it sticks on the field after you activate it, but it still works. And now he's got the Faker out. And Faker, he's probably going to want a Silquetus on the field. So now he's got Hextia to negate some possible spells and traps. He's going to have the bounce. He's going to have the sort of full suite of Altergeist cards. But between 2 copies of Tyranno, if he has enough dinosaurs to summon both copies of Tyranno, there's only 1 bounce, and the bounce is the only thing which stops the Tyranno wreaking havoc on your board. Realistically.
So the big question is, can Ulysse Rissons
fight through the interrupts?
Yeah. But I remember those guys said that a couple of formats ago at least, if your deck is not able to play around 1 negation, you shouldn't bring it to the tournament at all. And if you intend to win the tournament, you should be able to play through 2 negations, in fact, because that's the position you're going to be in every once in a while.
Oh yeah. So I mean, like in theory, there's quite a lot of negations on Bohdan's board here. So he's got the Hexia number 1, Hexia number 2.
So this is a good litmus test of how powerful the Dino deck really is. If it's able to play through this, it gets a pass. If not, don't bring it to the next event, guys.
Well, you don't necessarily have to play through all the negations. Sometimes you can just ignore them. So it's like, he's got 2 spell and trap negations. So if you don't have any spells and traps, you don't care.
That's fair enough.
You just like, if they've got monster effect negations, you just summon a big monster and attack with it, like you do with Tyranno.
Yeah.
What does you can negate its effect, sure. It's still got 3,500.
It's a shame that people didn't get to see your facial expression while you said that just now, because there was a real meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a real meh in that sentence.
So unfortunately, he does have 2 copies of Pill, which it sounds like are just going to get swallowed by the by the Hexia.
Normally I would say
that was a good pun, right?
Kids, yeah.
Did you like that one?
It was. I was immediately thinking on where to take this, and kids, make sure you only take the right pills and stuff like that.
The right pills, like the double evolution pill.
That's a good one.
That will turn you into a giant T-Rex.
Giant T-Rex is fine.
An ultimate conductor Tyranno.
Like you can spend 1 weekend as a giant T-Rex. Just need to then find the...
so that's quite neat. So the Ogre on the first Hextia now. So the Hextia's negated the double evolution pill. He's chained the Ogre, so now the Hextia is going to die, and the second Hextia is not going to have a monster beneath it to tribute off for its effect. So now he's going to be able to activate the second double evolution pill.
And it also appears to me like, at least during playtesting, he must have been in that situation. It doesn't seem like he's just putting the pieces together in his head while he's sitting here on the feature match table. It seems like he's been in that situation before, probably during playtesting, and he's like, okay...
expect to have tested against the Altergeist deck for sure, yeah. Know what interrupts they have, how to play around them.
So, yeah, I would be surprised if he is now missing one of the key plays that you mentioned, how he's going to get around...
So, Bohdan's got the... Conquery searched, which is potentially yet another negation, because it negates an attack, and then when it's summoned, it negates the... you can choose a card and negate the effect of that card while the Conquery sits on the field.
But I have to say, generally speaking, Bohdan seems to be in such a cheerful mood the entire match. If you look at the facial camera, he seems to be like, yeah,
maybe it's just being Australian, you know?
Maybe it could be being Australian, yeah. I think he's also one of those guys, and I mean that in a...
I'm interested what happened to the Giant Rex, because the Giant Rex was banished, and normally when Giant Rex is banished, it comes back.
It has been banished.
Does it have to come back?
According to our app, we can just bring it up. If it is banished, you can special summon this card.
Okay.
If you do, it gains 200 attack for each of your banished
I'm not sure why you wouldn't want it to come back.
But you can only use it once per turn. But I don't think it's been banished repeatedly.
Okay, so it looks like the one attack of Tyranno has just been stopped by Conquery. So a second Tyranno is going to try and come down with the pill, and then that's just stopped by the Hextia, and that's enough for...
Try is the important word in that sentence, because that means that Bohdan does have a way of interrupting his opponent, not really giving Ulysse any way to come back in this game, and that means that round 1 is finished. We're going to talk a little bit about it in our post-match analysis.
Hang on a sec.
YCS Utrecht, we just learned in the middle of the round that you guys didn't hear us at the very start of the day. I'm not sure if the same is true for Luke and Matt, who did a quick intro at the start of the day. I'm just going to recap quickly. We got 2,356 players here in the venue, which makes this the largest European Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament of all time. We're going to be playing 9 rounds today on Saturday. Which means there's no casual round 8, but we have a casual round 9, very late in the day. And then we're going to play 3 more rounds tomorrow before we cut to the top 64 players, because we need even larger cut just to get all of those guys in so everybody has a shot at winning their title, even if they lost their round 1. Like Ulysse Rissons, who is playing Dinosaurs this weekend, and he had to go up against Bohdan Temnyk from Australia, the runner-up in the World Championship. So he, as Matt put it, he came as close as you can.
Close as you can without winning.
Without
The game
winning.
was very close as well.
Yes, and that's true. So let's recap quickly. Bohdan is playing Altergeist.
Altergeist.
One of the popular choices.
Oh yeah, I mean, that game kind of demonstrated the extra power that the Altergeist has over a deck like Dinosaurs, which is
do you
less
think,
meta.
Do you think Altergeist is going to be the most popular deck this weekend?
I would guess it's going to come in like second or third, and then the question of how you group the decks as well maybe might influence that as to whether you're grouping things like.
It's a bit of a loaded question because I have the first metagame breakdown here.
That's unfair.
No, it's not.
But I chose the deck grouping, so my guess is Altergeist is going to be third.
Okay. That is actually correct.
Yes.
You peaked.
Oh, that's going to be it for the day.
No. You're going to be right all day long.
Was it pure Skriker first?
At the moment, yeah. We're still crunching the numbers. Our helpful guys in the deck check area are still actually, they have to type up a couple of deck lists, but for the most part they just say the guys from this country is playing this deck next. And they are working on it. They're crunching the numbers. We're going to have those stats available for you guys later today. We're just going to have a more representative view, basically. So you did mention that the Dinosaur deck, we did talk about that at the very beginning, is a bit of an interesting take. Mostly because it doesn't combine anything else. Yeah,
so it looks like he's trying to use the hand traps as the fodder for the double evolution pill, which is normally you run some other engine like Shadow or True Kings or something. I think Shadow has been the most popular because Shadow Fusion is just such a fun card.
Fun card is an interesting way of putting it.
It's a pretty good card.
Opponents would disagree, but yes, if you're playing it.
Well, I mean, you can't summon Construct anymore, sadly. You have to make do with a Winder.
Maybe in the future it's going to come back.
Maybe, we can always hope. We got Strats back. Maybe Construct is next.
Maybe that's next, yeah. You guys can start a hashtag or something, bring back Construct. Alright guys, the man for that particular job, if you want to have a card back from the van list, is of course Matt Bell. We're going to listen to him next. He's going to
send him lots of messages on Facebook about how much
he
you
loves
want
those
cards back.
So let's bring you guys, take you over to Matt and Luke, who are going to do their version of the post-match analysis and of course an interview with the winner. So let's take you guys there.
You, Ollie.
Thanks for throwing me right under that bus, guys.
Yeah,
That's the last thing I want is my Facebook bombed.
Honestly, I was more thinking to myself that we need more postcards. People just don't send those postcards as often as I like. So
no, I'm good with not getting any postcards whatsoever, to be honest.
I like the postcards.
All right, well, send them to Luke. You can send them to Luke.
Send them to me. Yeah.
No, that was a really interesting game there. Although I have to say, despite saying interesting, it never felt like at any point that Bohdan lost control of that game. He just seemed to be in a position where it's like, okay, I can just start with this like kind of what looks like a limping start, and then it's just like that suddenly turns into 3 monsters, and the game 1 was over pretty quickly from that point.
But, he's playing one of the most controlling decks out right now. So I guess if it didn't feel that way, then
it's like when you look at every other deck in the format that's kind of setting up something like pretty spectacular on the first turn, and you can just get away with these kind of slower starts. I'll wait and see what you do, and then I'll react to that. Honestly, that was just felt like very one-sided. And sorry to make sure I get his name right. Ulysse?
Ulysse.
Sorry.
I think.
It felt like there were a couple of mistakes in there, like the Giant Rex not getting picked up a couple of times. So maybe he was a bit nervous going on there.
I think you could tell he was a little bit nervous.
But even with that said, if he had been using, you're going to need to use all of those effects if you want to get over an Altergeist player who's just chipping away at you repeatedly and then setting up like double Hextia, Silquatus with the bounce, and it's like, hey, look, your next 3 plays are going nowhere, so you can't forget one of your potential options. You're just not going to win that matchup.
Well, their whole game is about having enough negates to deal with what you're going to do. If you don't do all the things you can do, then you're not going to get through all of the negates.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of moments where it looked like things could possibly be turned around when the Ghost Ogre came down to clear out the Hextia, which meant that Bohdan had 1 less negate than he wanted to, but it's just then, oh, okay, you know what, I've got the Kanquiri, I'll just go search for that. That's another negate that you didn't know I had access to. Stop your Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, you guys didn't hear us do our amazing introduction either, so should we have a quick go over of our introduction again?
Yeah, go on, let's do this. Take two.
No, we're not going to do the whole thing again.
Okay.
We're just going to talk about the number of players.
I'm taking my hopes up then. All right, let's go into this.
So we currently have 2,356 players, which is a huge break of the record.
It's PJ's lucky number.
Is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought people picked lucky numbers like less than 10, less than 50.
No, PJ's got a mathematic process to it. It's just his lucky number, and there's a reason for it, but I don't know why.
I didn't know that. Okay, well, there you go. PJ, you nailed it on the head. Oh yeah, so how many rounds are we going to have, Matt?
We're playing 9 rounds today, followed by 3 rounds tomorrow, and we're cutting to top 64, which is way more than the 32 that we usually cut to.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Because of the sheer size of this event. And this isn't the only big event. I heard some of the pre-registration numbers from Latin America yesterday. That's looking like it's going to be a gigantic event.
Yeah.
North America, that's always huge.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's going to be a really good weekend.
Yeah. And if you can't get down here, then you can stick with us for the coverage for Europe, and then they will begin broadcasting after we finish. Well, I think it's just about halfway through our day.
We overlap a little bit, so you can fill in some of the gaps if you guys fancy with
exactly
double dipping in content, as it were.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for round 1. We're going to go away and find an interesting feature match for round 2, but stick around, guys.